Haifa or the Dimona nuclear facility in southern Israel could create a catastrophic event. These people have fought alongside the Russian military as well as Iran inside Syria. These are seasoned guys. They know exactly. They've trained in Iran. They don't have the same constraints as the Palestinians, where the Israelis are monitoring them so closely. And so this is the fear right now, is that there could be a two-front war, making the Gaza conflict look like child's play.
Because these guys are so much better.
They're going to be better armed. They're going to be able to fire off thousands of rockets per day. That it would be roughly equal to what we've seen over 3 weeks from Hamas.
In the past life, you did address financing in the Department of Justice or Treasury. Will you address this issue about the $6 billion and the idea that the Biden administration doesn't understand that money is fungible?
Yeah, well, look, we know that there was a $6 billion hostage diplomacy swap.
Right.
We gave the Iranians $6 billion. The administration says that account has not been tapped yet, that they didn't authorize it.
The monies are still sitting in
Qatar,
which is already a place that funds the Muslim Brothers.
Insane, and they're a Hamas funder as well.
Right.
They have a massive Hamas
Don't worry about
presence.
it. Right.
The idea that the Qataris were the
custodian of the money.
The responsible actor here is truly insane, and I don't understand why they would have done that. I don't understand why they would have paid the Iranians to release hostages, knowing that will only
make them take more hostages.
Correct.
Right.
And so in this case, what we look at is you got 239 Israeli hostages that one could argue this is what we got. This is the result of trading 4 or 5. And of course, look, they're Israelis, they're not Americans, and we can understand that some Americans would say, you know what, better, it's someone else's problem now. But the thing is it's not going to stop at the 239 Israeli hostages. The regime feels empowered to do all of this because we've let them.
On the issue of the funding, can you also address, I think it was the State Department spokesman who more than once said, don't worry, any funds that are released through Qatar or anywhere else will only be used for humanitarian purposes by Hamas.
This is the dream palace that is crumbling right now. The idea that somehow you could devote certain funds to appease the regime on the nuclear file without having those funds trickle into the vast terrorism network that Iran has been supporting for decades was insane on its face. When this whole thing started back in 2011, 2012 with the Obama administration's dalliances in the Oman Channel, you can now see what happens when you do this. And this is why I say I think Jake Sullivan has a lot of work to do right now. There will need to be complete revisions of American foreign policy. It's funny. This foreign policy came at the end of the Bush administration, where people said, well, if you're trying to, force democracy down the throats of the Arab world at gunpoint, this is what you get. It's a collapse. So then they came up with this asinine paradigm.
Give them money and they'll love us.
Correct.
Right.
That's gone. Now the question is, can we come up with, dare I say it, in this fetid swamp, right? Come up with a bipartisan policy that does not tear this city apart, but actually begins to punish our enemies and play to the strength of the United States. Can we do that?
Well, let me throw it back at you. Can we do it if one of the parties on that bipartisan divide seems to have rank anti-Semitic individuals in the driving seat? I mean, you look at what the Squad is and their inability to deny the righteousness of Israeli actions, or to say that beheading babies is a bad thing. Is a bipartisan policy even possible, Jonathan?
No, I mean, not with those people for sure. But the question is, can we work with those who don't hold those utterly extremist and detestable views? Forget the Squad, right? Let's say there's 6 or 10 or whatever the number is of people that hold these abhorrent views. Let's take them out of the picture for a minute. Can we come up with something that ultimately gets back to this question of strengthening America, making sure that the U.S.-led world order does not crumble, supporting our allies, supporting democracies around the world that have a right to defend themselves? It seems like we should be able to do that, but when you look back over the last several years, we have not been able to get to that place. and that is deeply troubling to me.
All I know that when we were in the White House, we managed to get Iran practically on its knees because of our sanction regime. They lost 40% of the value of their stock market in 1 year, and they were just on the edge of crumbling. As far as I'm concerned, that's what leadership looks like. He's the author of the book, The Gaza Conflict 2021, Hamas, Israel, and the 11 Days of War. You can follow him at Jonathan J. Shanza on Twitter, and the website is fdd.org. If you want to get my take on the nature of the threat, the book that propelled me to the White House, it is the first one I ever wrote, New York Times bestseller, Defeating Jihad, available with all of my books at sebgorkastore.com. That's Why We Fight, and the most recent, The War for America's Soul. I was sadly incorrect when I thought my book, Defeating Jihad, would no longer be relevant. That it is more relevant than ever. That's sebgorka store.com. This is America's first one-on-one publishing from the LeafHacking.com studio. It's real, it works. It attacks the source of your pain on 4 separate metabolic pathways. How do I know this? Because I took it 4.5 years ago for my lower back pain, which had plagued me for 9 years, for almost a decade, and just 2 weeks later, I was pain-free, and I'm still pain-free more than 4.5 years later. But it's not just me. There's people like Deborah from Massachusetts. Just listen to Deborah's story. I just started taking Relief Factor 4 days ago. My hip pain is gone. I had a horrible time sleeping because of the pain. I absolutely love how I am feeling. Thank you, Relief Factor. Just those words. My hip pain is gone. Whether it's your hip, back, shoulder, knee, whatever it is. If you've tried everything else and failed to find relief, you know what to do. Call Relief Factor at 1-800-4-RELIEF. Order the 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. It'll be at your door in 3 days or less, taking morning and evening like I do. And I promise you, Dr. G's guarantee, by the end of those 3 weeks, you will know whether it works for you. Like it works for me, Deborah, and more than 1 million of your fellow Americans. You've waited long enough. You deserve to know. Call today, 1-800-4-RELIEF. Go to relieffactor.com. That's 1-800-4, relieffactor.com. We'll be back one-on-one with the Foundation for Defense of Democracy's Jonathan Shanza.
Cable news, noisy, boring, out of touch. That's why Salem News Channel is different. We keep you in the know. Streaming 24/7, free. Home to the greatest collection of conservative voices like Dennis Prager, Jay Sekulow, Mike Gallagher, and more. Salem News Channel is unfiltered and unapologetic. Watch anytime, on any screen, at FNC.TV and Local Now, Channel 525. It's a heartbreaking fact. On any given night, over 34,000 people are homeless in the Bay Area. More and more struggle to afford housing in our community, either below the poverty line or suffering from mental illness. The Bay Area Rescue Mission is fighting homelessness and needs your help. When you donate at bayarearescue.org, you're helping to provide nourishing meals, safe shelter for the night, and a nurturing environment for needy families. Since 1965, the Bay Area Rescue Mission has been delivering the hope of the gospel message to each and every one they reach. With so many lives in financial turmoil, your partnership with the Bay Area Rescue Mission is critical to meet the physical and spiritual needs of hurting families. Your gift helps men and women complete the mission's recovery program and successfully return to productive lives. To share your tax-deductible gift of hope today, simply go to bayarearescue.org. Love without limits. The Bay Area Rescue Mission. bayarearescue.org.
If you want to invest your money and grow your wealth, just listen to Bill Grant.
Hi, I'm Bill Grant at BillsGang.com. There's many reasons to listen to a radio show, but I think you listen to my show, you get the truth, you get clarity, and you get great information.
No matter what level of investor you are, Bill's Gang strategies for investing are designed to put you on the path to success.
You know what? Most of all, it's fun. BillsGang.com. Clarity, good information, and fun. America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka on 860 AM. The Answer.
Welcome back to America First One-on-One with FDD's Jonathan Shanza.
Similarly, I think, understanding Hamas, Hezbollah as social movements that are progressive around the West to the front of the West is extremely important. That's
individual. If you look into her, she's like the grandmother of transgender radical thought on American campuses. And there she is, Jonathan, talking about how Hamas and Hezbollah are social movements, part of the global left. As an American citizen, your reaction to the pernicious effects of these kinds of thoughts across America and what we've witnessed in the last 3 weeks on campuses?
It's truly, it is nauseating, I think is the only way to put it. The idea that progressives, liberals, are openly siding with a genocidal organization that has vowed to wipe Jews off the face of the earth, to wipe the Jewish
From the
people.
river to the sea.
Correct.
What it means.
We're talking about destroying a country of 10 million people, and they're saying that this is a social movement. It is truly insane. I mean, there have been a lot of memes that have been I've seen on online throughout this conflict. As always, it becomes a very heated place. But there are all these reports now of lesbian and gay organizations that are coming out in
Gaza.
Right, and the joke is, of course, it's like saying chickens for KFC, right? This idea that gays would be allowed to operate openly or to live openly inside the Gaza Strip under Hamas rule is just patently insane.
Right, it's Monty Python.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't make this stuff up, is the only way to put it. But look, there are, I think there are reasons why this is happening on college campuses. There are groups that have long associations with Hamas, with the Muslim Brotherhood, that have spent decades making inroads with these people. That needs to be exposed, and I hope that this conflict right now gives us the impetus right now to expose and maybe start to dismantle some of these networks, because we are truly poisoning American
minds. Destroy their enemies.
They do, and they are motivated. Netanyahu right now is he's fighting for his legacy. He's no longer going to be prime minister. It'll be a matter of months, maybe, who knows. But there's no way that he can bounce back from this. But what he can do right now is defeat Hamas, stave off a wider war, and put Israel in a better place to be able to combat its enemies, because there will be multiple rounds that follow this. This is a first salvo in a much longer war.
BB can at least bring some justice to the families, the loved ones of the 1,400 murdered by the savages. We've been talking to Jonathan Shanzer, Senior Vice President of the Foundation for Defense of Democracy. Follow him at Shanzer, and the website is fdd.org. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, now more than ever, keep your head on a swivel, watch your six, hold the line, never give up, never give in, and stay frosty.
Cost of everything is going up. It's got you re-examining your priorities in a big way. If you had thoughts of a private school for your child, where a well-rounded curriculum, individual attention, and an emphasis on values provide a foundation for success, well, we've got great news. Right now, on our website, you'll find tuition vouchers for some of the Bay's most prestigious private schools, available at half price. Learn more and explore our list of participating schools at 860amtheanswer.com.
Looking for ways to get your money growing faster? Provident Credit Union can help you make more from your investment. At Provident, you can find security with a great rate of 3.75% annual percentage yield on a 25-month term share certificate. Rate effective October 18, 2022. Limited time offer. Minimum balance requirement of $10,000 and must-see funds that have not been on deposit for the last 60 days. Federally insured by the NCUA. Visit providencecu.org for terms and conditions.
Find us at 860amtheanswer.com. Stream us 24/7 or watch us at snc.tv. KTRB, San Francisco. 860 AM The Answer.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The White House says 74 more U.S. citizens have left the Gaza Strip as the nearly 4-week-old Israel-Hamas war rages on. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The National Security Council's John Kirby said those who evacuated were dual citizens.
As the president said, so far, 74 U.S. citizens and family members arrived on the Egyptian side.
Kirby said the administration hopes that additional U.S. citizens will be able to leave Gaza in the coming hours and days, and the pace of Americans who want to leave will now move at an accelerated pace. Greg Clugston, the White House.
President Biden has also called for brief pauses in airstrikes by Israel against Hamas so that innocent civilians aren't harmed. Funding Israel in its battle against Hamas is the subject of much debate on Capitol Hill. The GOP-led House has a bill sending aid to Israel but cutting IRS funding and postponing funding for Ukraine. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the House GOP's idea for funding Israel is stunningly unserious.
The Senate will not be considering this deeply flawed proposal from the House GOP. And instead, we will work together on our own bipartisan emergency aid package that includes aid to Israel, Ukraine, competition with the Chinese government, and humanitarian aid for Gaza, so much needed.
But House Speaker Mike Johnson says the House will pass the bill to get Israel emergency aid.
Israel doesn't need a ceasefire. Allies to cease with the politics and deliver support now. And that's what we're doing. House Republicans plan to do that. We're going to do it in short order, and it provides Israel the aid it needs to defend itself, free its hostages, and eradicate Hamas.
On Wall Street, the Dow up by 564 points. The NASDAQ rose 232. More at townhall.com.
Harry, God has chosen you to have a son.
The greatest story ever told is now an epic Christmas musical for the whole family.
I won the fund. You're in danger, Mary.
Starring Fiona Paloma, Milo Manheim, Lecrae, Joel Smallbone, and Academy Award nominee Antonio Banderas. Journey to Bethlehem, rated PG, parental guidance suggested. In theaters everywhere November 10th. Soundtrack also available. Get tickets now at JourneyToBethlehem.com.
Done this movie by Dinesh D'Souza, Police State.
We have freedom of religion and freedom of speech. MAGA Republicans tread the very foundation of our republic.
Are we becoming a police state?
The government has tried to crush the conservative movement, our society, and our freedoms.
They define you as radical. How did we give the state this kind of power? If they're coming for me, they're coming for you.
Streaming now at policestatefilm.net. Policestatefilm.net.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Wall Street was higher, adding to its rally from the day before on hopes the Federal Reserve may finally be done with its market-friendly interest rate. Stocks around the world leaped after the Federal Reserve late Wednesday did admit a recent jump in Treasury yields may be acting like a rate hike substitute. The 10-year yield fell further, releasing pressure that had built up on Wall Street. Reports on the U.S. economy also offered hope for momentum pulling down on inflation. The Dow up 564 points, closing at 33,839. The NASDAQ gained 232 points to 13,294. The S&P 500 added 79 points to 43.17. New York oil rose $2.02 to $82.46 per barrel. The Wall Street Business Report on John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. Uber and Lyft have reached a multi-million-dollar settlement with the state of New York over allegations they forced